Welcome to Sleep Tales. Tonight, we invite you on a magical journey into a world of wonder, mystery, and adventure. So sit back, relax, and let the story begin. In the heart of a vast desert stood a magnificent city filled with white marble palaces, bustling marketplaces, and lively streets. The aroma of roasted spices drifted through the air, while the sounds of copper craftsmen, merchants calling out to customers, and busy crowds filled every corner of the city. In the poorest and narrowest street of that city lived a young boy named Aladdin. After the death of his father, Mustafa, who had been a poor tailor, Aladdin and his mother, Zubaydah, struggled to survive. Every day, Zubaydah spent hours spinning thread just to earn a few coins. Unlike his mother, Aladdin was adventurous by nature. He loved climbing rooftops, leaping across buildings, and exploring every corner of the city. Despite having very little, he was always willing to help those who were poorer than himself. By the end of each day, he would return home covered in dust and dirt. One evening, just as the sun was setting, a mysterious stranger entered the city. He wore long black robes and a large turban decorated with strange glowing symbols. In his hand, he carried a magical compass that constantly spun on its own, and he followed wherever it pointed. Hiding behind a pillar, the stranger carefully watched the boys playing in the street. Suddenly, his eyes stopped on Aladdin. For a brief moment, he thought to himself, "Could this be the boy I have been searching for?" The moment he saw Aladdin, a smile appeared on his face. He became certain that this was the one who could help him achieve his goal. The magician slowly walked toward Aladdin and spoke in a kind and gentle voice. "My son, you look exactly like my brother. Was your father the tailor Mustafa?" Aladdin nodded. "Yes, but my father passed away many years ago." Hearing this, the magician pretended to be heartbroken. Claiming that Mustafa had been his own brother, he embraced Aladdin warmly. "You are my nephew. From this day onward, I will take care of you and your mother as if you were my own family." That very evening, the magician visited Aladdin's home carrying expensive gifts and bags of gold. Zubaydah was surprised. Her husband had never mentioned having a brother in Africa, and she found the story difficult to believe. But seeing the stranger's kindness, generosity, and the gold he brought with him, her doubts slowly faded. The magician smiled and said, "Tomorrow, I will take Aladdin with me. I will teach him the secrets of trade and make him one of the richest men in the world." Hearing those words, Aladdin believed that his life was finally about to change. But hidden behind the magician's smile was a greedy desire that no one noticed. Early the next morning, the magician arrived at Aladdin's house. Together, they left the city through its great gates and walked deep into the lonely desert. For many hours, they continued walking beneath the blazing sun. Exhausted and confused, Aladdin looked around at the endless rocks and dry winds. "Uncle, where are we going? There is nothing here except rocks and sand." The magician gripped Aladdin firmly by the shoulder. "Be patient, my son. I am about to show you wonders that no king has ever seen. Soon, you will become the richest man in the world." Eventually, they reached a narrow valley between two dark mountains. There, the magician ordered Aladdin to gather wood and light a fire. As the flames rose higher, the magician threw a strange magical powder into the fire. In an instant, the sky turned dark. With a voice that hissed like a serpent, he began chanting ancient spells. The very earth trembled. The ground split open, revealing a massive ancient stone slab with a large brass ring fixed at its center. Aladdin stared at it in complete astonishment. Terrified, he tried to run away, but the magician stopped him. His voice was no longer gentle. It had become cold, cruel, and frightening. "Only you can move this stone. If you do exactly as I say, you will become wealthier than you could ever imagine." Aladdin reached out and grasped the brass ring. To his amazement, the enormous stone rose as lightly as a feather. Beneath it lay a long flight of dark stone steps leading deep into the mountain. As Aladdin stared into the darkness below, fear filled his heart. As Aladdin stood at the edge of the dark staircase, fear gripped his heart. The magician looked at him and spoke in a firm voice. "Go down these steps. You will pass through 3 great halls. Do not touch anything. If even your clothes brush against the walls, you will die instantly. Beyond the 3rd hall, you will find a beautiful garden. In the middle of that garden stands a small pavilion. Inside it, you will see an old, dusty copper lamp. Bring that lamp back to me." Then the magician removed a dull silver ring from his finger and placed it on Aladdin's thumb. "This ring will protect you. All I want is the lamp. Do not disappoint me." With his heart pounding, Aladdin slowly descended the stone steps. Holding his breath, he carefully crossed the 3 great halls without allowing even his clothes to touch the walls. When he finally reached the last chamber, he stood frozen in amazement. It was not an ordinary garden. It was a magical forest, filled with dazzling crystal trees and sparkling gemstones that shimmered in every color. Believing they were nothing more than beautiful colored stones, Aladdin filled his pockets with a handful of them. Completely captivated by their beauty, he continued walking. At last, among all the glittering treasures, he found the old dusty copper lamp resting inside the small pavilion. He quickly picked it up and tucked it safely inside his robe. With his pockets full of shining stones, Aladdin hurried back toward the staircase. At the top, the magician was waiting impatiently. His eyes were filled with greed. "The lamp, give it to me at once," he shouted. Aladdin looked up and replied, "Uncle, my pockets are too heavy. I can't climb out. Please help me first." The magician's face twisted with anger. Without helping Aladdin, he threw another handful of magical powder into the fire. Immediately, the enormous stone slab slammed shut with a thunderous crash. Darkness swallowed everything, leaving Aladdin trapped inside the underground chamber. The magician disappeared into the desert. Aladdin was now completely alone. For 2 days and 2 nights, he remained trapped in the cold darkness. Although countless treasures surrounded him, they were useless. Weak with hunger, exhausted, and terrified, he slowly lost all hope. Finally, through his tears, Aladdin folded his hands and prayed. As he did, his fingers accidentally rubbed against the silver ring. Suddenly, the cave filled with swirling blue smoke. From within the smoke appeared a mighty spirit. "I am the servant of this ring," the spirit said. "I am bound to obey whoever wears it. What is your command, my master?" Still trembling with fear, Aladdin whispered, I want to go home." In the blink of an eye, the underground cave vanished. The next moment, Aladdin found himself standing inside his own home. The instant Zubaydah saw her son, she fainted. Aladdin rushed forward and caught her before she fell. When she regained consciousness, she could hardly believe her eyes. Overwhelmed with joy, she embraced her son tightly and burst into tears. Aladdin gently comforted her. "Mother, that man was never my uncle. He was an evil magician. He trapped me inside a hidden cave. But this ring saved my life." Then he showed her the sparkling stones he had brought back. "They look beautiful, but I don't think they're worth much. However, if we sell this old copper lamp, we might have enough money to buy food for a week." The following morning, there was nothing left to eat in the house. Thinking the old lamp might sell for a better price if it was clean, Zubaydah picked it up and began rubbing away the dust. Suddenly, the room grew freezing cold. A deafening roar echoed through the house. Thick purple smoke burst out of the lamp. From within it emerged a gigantic spirit. "I am the servant of this lamp," the mighty genie declared. "For 1,000 years, I have waited in darkness. I am bound to obey the master of this lamp. Command me, and your wish shall be fulfilled." Aladdin said, "We are hungry. Bring us a feast worthy of a sultan." In an instant, the purple smoke disappeared. A magnificent banquet appeared before them. 12 silver platters were laid across the table, each filled with the most delicious foods imaginable. From that day onward, hunger was no longer a part of their lives. As the years passed, Aladdin was no longer the careless street boy he had once been. He spent his time reading books, learning wisdom, and practicing the art of swordsmanship until he grew into a noble young man. One by one, he secretly sold the silver platters the genie had provided, earning a respectable fortune. One day, while walking through the marketplace, he suddenly heard the royal guards shouting, "Make way! Princess Badr al-Budur is approaching. Anyone who dares look upon her shall be punished with death." Everyone immediately lowered their heads. Just then, a gentle breeze lifted the princess's veil for a brief moment. For the very first time, Aladdin saw her face. It shone with a beauty as radiant as the morning sun. At that very moment, he made a promise to himself. It would not be enough to become rich. He wanted to become worthy of marrying the princess. Remembering the sparkling jewels he had brought from the underground garden, Aladdin showed them to his mother. He explained that they were not ordinary colored stones, but priceless gems beyond imagination. At Aladdin's request, Zubaydah carried the precious jewels to the Sultan's palace as a gift. The entire royal court was astonished by their extraordinary brilliance. Even the Sultan had never seen treasures of such beauty. After admiring the jewels, the Sultan finally spoke. "If your son truly wishes to marry my daughter, then tomorrow morning 80 servants must arrive carrying golden trays filled with treasures like these. Only then will I consider the marriage." When Zubaydah returned home and told Aladdin everything, he immediately rubbed the magic lamp. The genie appeared before him. Aladdin said, "I want 80 servants dressed in magnificent robes. Each one must carry a golden tray overflowing with priceless jewels. Let it be a sight the world has never seen." "As you wish, my master," replied the genie. Yet one question remained in the Sultan's mind. "If my daughter marries your son, where will they live?" Without hesitation, Aladdin rubbed the magic lamp once more. "I want a magnificent palace built of gold and silver," he commanded. "But leave one window unfinished." The genie bowed and disappeared. Before the first rooster crowed at dawn, a magnificent palace had risen from the ground. Built entirely of gold and silver, it shone like something from a dream. Inside stood a grand hall with 24 magnificent windows. Just as Aladdin had instructed, only the very last window was left unfinished. When Sultan saw the incomplete window, he ordered the finest craftsmen and goldsmiths in the kingdom to complete it. They used the kingdom's finest gold and the most precious jewels they could find. Yet, even after days of hard work, they could not complete a single section of the window. Smiling quietly, Aladdin rubbed the magic lamp once again. "Complete the final window using the most magnificent jewels in the world." The genie obeyed immediately. Within moments, the unfinished window glittered with priceless gems. The Sultan was filled with admiration. Soon afterward, the grand wedding of Aladdin and Princess Badr al-Budur was celebrated with great joy throughout the kingdom. After the ceremony, the newly married couple moved into their magnificent palace. But far away in Africa, someone had been watching everything. It was the evil magician. Burning with anger, he realized that Aladdin had obtained the magic lamp. Without wasting a moment, he transformed himself and traveled back to Aladdin's kingdom. Disguised as an old lamp merchant, standing outside the palace, he loudly called through the streets, "New lamps for old. Exchange your old lamps for beautiful new ones." At that time, Aladdin had gone out on a hunting trip. Inside the palace, the princess noticed the old dusty lamp lying in Aladdin's room. Thinking it was nothing more than an old lamp, she exchanged it for one of the merchant's shiny new lamps. She had no idea that she had just handed over the magic lamp to the evil magician. The moment he obtained it, the magician hurried away to a deserted place and rubbed the lamp. The mighty genie appeared instantly. "I am the servant of this lamp. You are now my master. What is your command?" The magician smiled wickedly. "Take this entire palace, along with the princess and everything inside it, to the lonely deserts of Africa." Without hesitation, the genie obeyed. The next morning, the Sultan looked out from his palace window. He could not believe what he saw. The magnificent palace had completely disappeared. Nothing remained except empty ground. Meanwhile, Aladdin returned happily from his hunt. Instead of a warm welcome, he was surrounded by the Sultan's soldiers. They chained him and dragged him into prison. The furious Sultan demanded, "Where is my daughter? If you do not bring her back within 40 days, you shall lose your life." Aladdin sat alone in the prison, overwhelmed with despair. As he wiped away his tears, he noticed the old silver ring that the magician had once given him. Without thinking, he rubbed it. Immediately, blue smoke filled the prison cell. The spirit of the ring appeared. "My master," the spirit said, "I cannot overcome the power of the lamp's genie, but I can take you to wherever the lamp is." In a flash of blue light, Aladdin disappeared from the prison. The next moment, he found himself in the African desert near his missing palace. With the help of the ring spirit, he secretly entered the palace. When the princess saw him, she burst into tears of relief. After comforting her, Aladdin quietly asked, "Where is the lamp?" The princess replied, "The magician always keeps it tucked into his belt. He never lets it out of his sight." Aladdin took a small bottle of sleeping medicine from his pocket and handed it to her. "Tonight, mix this into his wine. Be kind to him and act as though nothing has happened. Leave the rest to me." Aladdin then hid behind a curtain and waited patiently. That evening, the princess warmly welcomed the magician. Believing that she had finally accepted him, the magician was delighted. "Let us celebrate this new beginning together," he said as he raised his cup of wine. Within minutes, the sleeping potion took effect. The magician collapsed unconscious. As he fell, the magic lamp slipped from his belt onto the floor. Aladdin rushed out from behind the curtain and quickly picked it up. Without wasting another second, he rubbed the lamp. The mighty genie appeared once again. "My master, what is your command?" Aladdin spoke with confidence. "Take this evil magician to the farthest corner of the world where no one will ever find him. Then return this palace, the princess, and me safely to our kingdom." A powerful wind shook the earth. Golden light surrounded the palace. Within moments, the palace returned to its original place in the kingdom. The Sultan rushed forward and embraced both Aladdin and his daughter. Realizing his mistake, he sincerely apologized to Aladdin. The entire kingdom celebrated their return with great joy. In the years that followed, Aladdin became a wise and kind ruler. To ensure that no one could ever misuse its power again, he locked the magic lamp away in a secret chamber where it would remain safe forever. Aladdin and Princess Badr al-Budur lived together in peace and happiness for the rest of their lives. Thank you for listening to this magical story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to Sleep Tales for more enchanting stories.